Everybody, welcome to today's 1 million by 1 million strategy roundtable. This is our public roundtable open to anyone and everyone in the world. If you're in Timbuktu, you're most welcome. 1 million by 1 million is the global virtual incubator in the world today. And the mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million in annual revenue and beyond, build $1 trillion in global GDP and 10 million jobs. So I think that is an audacious mission. It is. And this is our 198th roundtable. We have one this year, the last one next week. We're going to celebrate our 200th on January 9th after the Christmas holidays. If you to log through. So this is being recorded. You will have the recording available on our blog as well as on the YouTube channel. If you're in the show, please use hashtag 1M1M. You can go on Twitter at 1M by 1M or me at Sramana. We push very interesting quality content through our Twitter channels. The 1M1M roundtables have recordings of hundreds of these sessions, as other Q videos about 1M1M, really nifty cartoons and all sorts of things. So check it out. We're going to have presentations with slides, people who have sent us slides in advance, and then we're going to open up, depending on how much time we have, we're going to open up for public Q&A. So ask questions in the public chat, or you can dial into the call, and I will put up these instructions later on again. I'm going to start with Shop Sense. Adam is the speaker. Farooq, now unmute your line and tell us what's going on at Shop Sense.
Can everyone hear me clearly?
Yes.
So I've pasted a video in the chat. I would like to start with that. That gives an idea to exactly what we are trying to build. There's a video link in the chat window. If everyone can please look at it.
More thing that was planned? Do you want up on the screen? Looking at the video offline, okay? So you need to describe what you're doing, Farooq.
In short words, we are trying to disrupt the global retail technology market to bring the ease of online shopping into the offline world. The way we do this is we install large tablets, 22-inch to 27-inch tablets. They're connected with the point of sale of the store inventory. At any point of time, you get to see a complete of products that are in the store or stores nearby. We are a data company at the back end. Every interaction that happens on the screen is tagged, and eventually we understand the complete purchase cycle. User interface is designed. If you could switch to slide number 10. This is the same. This is how the user interface looks like. This is a large tablet. The way the interface is designed is that we want the retailer to sell looks rather than products. So he has the ease. The customer representing the store has the ease of upselling. If you were to walk into the store, the story would go something like this: "Ma'am, what comes for?" You would say, "I'm come for a jeans." So these jeans, why don't I show you also the t-shirt? So when you walk into the closet, you go for clothes and eventually you will sell more. When we did this, we were probably a software and data analytics company, but now started to design our own hardware also. We're going to have a hardware play also. We are designing 22-inch and 27-inch embedded touchscreens run on a Snapdragon Qualcomm processor. The complete solution to the end retailer, an upfront for the stock hardware. The retailer buys hardware from us upfront. Pricing starts from $600, $650 goes up to all the way to $1,800. Software as a service model, which is where we make bulk of our revenue, starts at $150 per node per month and go up as high as $350 per node per month.
Why are you doing hardware businesses? Is this hardware not available in the market at the price point at which you are trying to get it to?
Two reasons why I'm doing it. Initial thought was to just pick up common hardware and do it. The common hardware, it doesn't exist. 22-inch and 27-inch projected capacitive touchscreen exists from Lenovo and things from Dell, but expensive. Plus, we do not want to give license. We do not really want to buy Windows licenses or use Intel processors. Both of two technologies, by Windows and Intel, waste a lot of energy. Plus, they are expensive. We wanted an Android-based device. That's why I'm sort of designing it ourselves. And it's easy to do it.
This product is not available at the price point at which you want to get it to. That's why you're custom designing it.
Correct. So we are just designing it, but the mass manufacturing is going to happen by a company called Pegatron. If you have heard of Pegatron, this is the same company which is manufactured the iPhone 5.
Okay. All right. So do you want to go back to some of your slides now?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, I will show you the video so things would have a good flow. Because
if you let me know ahead of time, we could have included the video in the presentation.
Okay, sure. So we are here to disrupt the global retail technology market. And this word disrupt is misused a lot. How we define it is on the next slide. It's cheaper. And the way we think costs is by using open source technologies and using cloud services. So we're trying to reduce the cost of our clients every day. We want it to be simple when we are designing products which our mothers can use. That means the interface needs to be so intuitive. A woman in the 60-70 age group can easily go and pick it. And my mother is not a very educated woman, but when she uses our product, she understands it. And I believe if a mother can use it, 10% of the world can use it. It's smaller, convenient to use, and faster to deploy. Our whole proposition when we go to retailers is not going to be a long-gone 3-month IT project. We have invested upfront on the back-end technology. All the code bases has been written. All we need to do with a retailer is skin the product for them, bring in the rich content, and the product is ready. Our deployment is less than 2 weeks. So it's a product which enterprises buy for their customers. It's a B2B consumer play on it. I'm the co-founder with Harsh and Sriram. I work from IIT Bombay with civil engineering degree. The thesis was mostly around steel plate walls. I've authored the 3 journal papers, and 1 book on steel plate shear walls. After IIT, I worked with Opera Solutions. Opera Solutions is a big data analytics company based out of New York. Most of the consulting I did was in New York and San Diego with retailers and banks. And Sriram, Bombay. I showed the junior point from IIT Bombay, and he also worked with me in Opera. We discovered from ADC in IIT Bombay. Before he used to heading design at Pagalgai. Right now, it's about article. It's going to become a drop. Excuse me. Next slide, please. So the Asha Michandani, and that's how presenting. Did a seed round between K Capital and Pavilion Ventures. So we are well funded in that stage. Next two. So we have 3 potentially. This match for fashion retailers, stores in the 2,000 to 5,000 square feet range, primarily singular brands. There's another called React. That's for shoe retailers. But the only difference is the screen, the user is in the landscape mode. Plus there's pressure mat below. So there's pressure mat. It tells you what size it is, and in that it gives you recommendations of what is the best fit of shoe for you.
You're saying the software for the different kinds of products? So you have a special product for shoes, a special product for apparel, and another accessory? Is that how it's said?
Right. So we've identified there are 7 different types of retailers, and each of them needs a slightly different user interface. The components remain the same. The meaning of the user interface changes, and the placement of the user interface.
And the heuristics probably are a bit different.
Right.
What's small? Is it? Do you have some sort of an expert system in the behind the scenes, or are you doing collaborative filtering? How? What is the algorithm behind?
So, you can look my presentation to my platform. Lemur recommendation engine. We have built both a copy-based as well as a collaborative filter-based recommendation engine. The biggest collaborative filter search engine, recommendation engine, does not have tagged data. When the user interacting with our screen, we can really not know who he is. We have in the user interface where they give a mobile number or give an email address, so that when when they go from and trying out and eventually purchasing, I understand what the preference is. When if you look at filter, it's essentially product, it's person versus product as an affinity store. But how do you affinity store is the only information whether you have purchased or not. So to do a near-term recommendation engine, we build something called a very simple content-based recommendation engine. For every seed product, there are products in category which are near to it, and the products in different category which are near to it. Which is an example. Look at a blue, jeans, light spiker are very close to it. So those come recommendation by itself. Now, if the don't do me in category recommendation, but do me cross category recommendation or a different category recommendation, so we'll say, okay, fine. If you look at jeans, why don't I show you shirts that go along with it? Content collaborative based recommendation engines make sense only when you need to be radically tangential recommendations. Like if you buy jeans and I'm telling you buy a watch. But that only if you have tremendous amount of data and tap data.
I'm actually much more the camp of expert systems than collaborative filtering for this kind of recommendation.
For Indian retailers, it's slightly more different. I'm sure the US market is more involved. When we used to make recommendations,
to what I said I am more in the camp of expert systems, collaborative filtering for this kind of products, regardless if India or US.
No, I agree. I completely agree with you. The intuitive recommendations are much better. I mean, it's straightforward. Buy bread and milk. Give a jam. That's what recommendation. More. But on an industrial scale, it is really relatively difficult to do. Plus, not understand data or appreciate data. So that we are not so guarded about the retail data. But I agree with your point. Expert systems devices are most. Some retailers in India we are seeing sort of creating these fashion experts or fashion police call them, who give you looks go together, so recommend higher. So now user interface, when you select one of those looks, it becomes hot and predetermined already.
How many retailers are you working with right now, Farooq? And are Indian?
Yeah, except Alpha Theme Group in Dubai, all Indian. If you look at slide number 18. Slide 18.
Sorry, one before. Yeah.
So this is the client's right now. Client actually is Big Bazaar Direct. Is part of Future Group. They have come up with a new hybrid model of e-commerce where people go door to door on tablets selling Big Bazaar items. So we did an app, and right now the whole backend analytics is also being by us. Tenant for Rainforest is Big Bazaar Direct. And we are in talks with Alpha Theme Group for Marks and Spencer in Dubai. We just need to make demo app and they'll start installing it. So that's it. My co-founder Harsh right now is in the US and he's meeting a lot of investors and retailers. From the analysis that we did, America is the largest market, and by a big margin, 50% of the market is in the in by Europe, Asia, and South America, and the rest.
Okay.
Because the play is the biggest market for us, so start attacking this market aggressively from Feb. Once we have got completely dirty with the operationalization of a node. I mean, it's a tricky problem because there are so many moving parts. Integration data, in-store installation. So sorry. Yeah, that's it.
This is what is your strategy for getting North America? How are you? So you are based right now in Mumbai. You're working with Indian researchers. How are you here talking to investors? Is somebody is somebody going to move here and set up the sales channel in the U.S.?
We've got some other partners for us to do the selling, but we do not believe them to be the greatest revenue stream for us. We'll start moving permanently to North America to 2014. Till then, we'll start working with channel partners. We have Retail Pro. That we have from point of sale is Retail Pro International. We have sponsored their annual event. Retail Pro its channel partners. Now we have started talking to these channel partners to sell our products.
Indian company or a U.S. company from a registration point of view?
I just met a lawyer for the call, and we are going to externalize our company. The company based out of Singapore, subsidiary in the U.S.
Money.
We raised in the U.S.
In the U.S., registering the company in Singapore?
They had a good answer for that. I don't know something. Do it. I got a taxation.
Sounds like if your biggest market is in the U.S., you want to raise money in the U.S., you better set up a U.S. company.
Well, of course, set up a U.S. company. It's not going to be the parent company. The parent company is going to be the place.
If you
the royalty tax.
Need a parent company in the U.S.
I don't know. The lawyer will advise me. So at this point, I cannot say for sure it's going to be U.S. or Singapore, but it's not going to be in India.
I'm telling you that if you want to raise money in the U.S., investors don't invest in Singapore companies.
No, I'll tell my lawyer.
This is not your lawyer.
It's my pretty big. He knows everything to us.
Okay. All right. Well, good presentation. Interesting stuff. Good. Metisme. That's an interesting.
Charles side from Metisme. Yep. I haven't talked much in terms of the product because I thought that it has to be mainly in terms of about the distribution of the product and how are we planning to take on to the market and all. But yeah, so what I'll do is we'll start off with a brief background of mine and then talk a brief on the background of the product and then we'll move to our targeted customers and all. Right. So telling about myself, I used to earlier work with a life insurance startup. So there I used to take care of the Pan-India group operations, which was a portfolio of close to around 200 crores. And I started focusing on their branding and marketing. During tenure with the same stuff, we brought the company so we started 23rd life insurance company in India, which is pretty competitive. And through the use of the marketing and the product channels, we brought the company into the top 10 companies, life insurance companies in India. So that's a brief background of mine. Product, right? So basically, we started out with a simple problem that email was never a tool to store information. So if you see which started out in the early 2000s when people also started off and Hotmail. Email was a communication tool, but over a period of time, the use of email has evolved into becoming a repository of information. So now a whole set of files, addresses, phone numbers, and a lot of information inside your email. So there's only this distribution of information inside the email was not organized. So we have a problem that people exchange a lot of files over email, and email is not designed to exchange files. So, over a period of time, the guys who exchange a lot of files over email, it's very difficult for them to organize those files. And if you use other cloud services as a part of a workflow, like Dropbox or Evernote or SkyDrive or Google Drive, since there's a bridge between these cloud services of yours and the email, it becomes very difficult to transfer the files and make both the services interlinked as a part of a workflow. Product which makes it very easy for users to transfer the file from your email services to your services like Dropbox or SkyDrive or Google Drive. So that's the one thing that we did. Then, building the product, people told us that, hey, look, you guys are making it very easier for us to transfer files from email to these cloud services. Can we take a step forward? You guys can automate the workflow for me. So there were a couple of requests, and then we designed a feature wherein, like say a consultant can, if he is working with a new client, he can just set up a rule inside his email saying that, hey, look, if I receive any email from this guy, from the new client, the attachment should automatically be forwarded inside my Dropbox folder. Over a period of time, if you look at your organization, we made the whole process of filing very easier for them. So I was then in this life insurance startup, which is tightly regulated by the insurance regulator in the country. So it's a very difficult aspect. So again, guys in each of the teams had ensured that all the files are properly filed in specific folders with the company uses. So you must have seen most of the times people forget to file the documents into proper folders. So it's a big problem, right? So that workflow. So that's what we did. We created a product which makes it very easier for users to transfer the file from the Gmail or other cloud services, and then they can automate it. So we made it very easier for them to browse and search through their files inside the email. Right? Think about it, the search that you have inside your Gmail or other email services, that's mostly an email search. But when we built a system wherein it makes it very easier for them to search through the attachments. So it's like search versus the attachments-oriented search. All right. I haven't included any screenshots of the product. So targeted group are mostly guys. Hello?
Yeah.
So our target are mostly guys who exchange a lot of files. So that includes consultants, freelancers, designers, university professors, sales teams who exchange a lot of files every day in and day out. So targeted group, our value proposition for that is very simple. We automate the filing process of these teams and a one-click transfer of files from email to cloud services, and a very simple way to browse through and search through the files inside email. So if I extrapolate the third point, so let's say if you use a Windows machine, imagine giving a situation wherein I say that look, you can only access the files inside this local drive of yours by way of search, not browse through them. It's life difficult for you, right, to locate the file. So yeah, so that's what value proposition is. It's covered in these 3 points. What have we learned till now? So we have more than 6,000 users right now. And that we have learned is that people are very much interested in automated workflow because traditionally email does not have any APIs, which means that you don't have a developer community which can be a bridge between email and other cloud services. So people are more interested, organizations also are more interested in creating their workflow, the transfer of the documents from email to other cloud services. So the first learning that we had was, that we had, and it's a pity right now. So people are having this whole idea of us called the stack. So basically, we do it when you install a plugin. It's a browser plugin right now. So when you install a plugin into Gmail, Inbox or SendMail, you have something called as attachments. You click that attachments and you get all files now collated together. So you can browse through them, you can search through them in that very same window. But people are liking this feature of ours, attachment stack, but not use it very frequently. So what more, is the whole idea of transferring the files from this email cloud services and automating it. So that's the learning that we had. Apart from that, who our customers are, then those are the guys who send a lot of files.
Many times. So hold on, Shalin. Let's move to some things that we need to understand. What is the business model? Have you got pricing model feedback from your 6,000 users? Are these all free users, or are they willing to pay? What is the business model validation work that you've done?
Okay, basically, we haven't done any validation, truly speaking, in terms of charge users, but we intend to start in the next couple of weeks. So the idea is that we like this 6,000 plus users that we have right now. So close to around 42% are enterprise users, guys from universities and all, and some of them have written back to us, right? That be willing to pay for the services if we include this cloud service for them. So each of the companies or each of the enterprise might use a different cloud service. So interested, okay, we'll pay you for the service if you include this cloud service. We only work with Dropbox, Evernote, Google Drive, and Skype Drive. So we couple of, because when our users were willing to pay for it. So talk of the business model, it's premium, right? So right now it's free, but in a couple of weeks we intend to introduce the premium model also, where the users will get more set of features. There won't be any restriction in terms of transfer of the files, right? So keeping a restriction.
My first feedback to you is do not do freemium. Do free trial or do limited use product for free,
right?
For so many files, and then they have to pay kind of thing. Because if you try to do freemium and give a lot of value for free with limited capacity for transfer and all that, people will not. Marketing free users is an incredibly complicated process, and the cost is abysmal.
Right. So in fact, we're in the midst of thinking all those things that how do we monetize the user base, because we see that users are interested in this product, but at some point of time we have to think about the monetization of the product too. Right? So we are in the midst of it, and that's what, if you see the questions which I have for you, Sramana, the first question that you see, like if you go through a product, right? I school of thought that which says that a product always has a touch point. So if I build a product, right? Say for example, if you compare a task management tool, you interact with a task management tool every couple of hours, every single day, right? So you feel that the product that we have right now, right? How do we increase the value proposition of this product that we become a high touch point product? So this is required to use a product every couple of hours, right? So that's the first question that I have for you, Sramana.
You talked a bit about workflow, right? So you have to very carefully study the workflow of the users that you're working with and see what are other pieces of that workflow that emanates from your core value proposition that can be automated and brought into the product. So you have 6,000 users, talk extensively to understand exactly what their usage model, and while they're doing this piece, what else do they want to do around that would help them in their
Right.
The real feedback on that is going to come from your customers, not from me or from some random people. It's something that you have to understand the customer scenario.
Right.
Now, customer acquisition depends on where you're positioning the product, and the thing that I haven't seen anything about is what is the competitive landscape. This is a very competitive space that you're trying to go into. Workflow is a very competitive space. This file handling, file storage, cloud storage of files, file sharing, very competitive space. What direct competition can Bob start offering this functionality tomorrow? The other sharing players. So what is the competition, and where from here?
Right. I got it. So yeah, right now, if actually at the start of the the conversation that right now we are acting more as a bridge, right? Wherein we as more like a transport vehicle to transfer the files from email to these cloud services. And that's why I'm saying that, we need to increase the value proposition in terms of maybe as a storage services or doing something in which neither the box would be interested, neither Dropbox or the Gmail guys. It's those won't.
Box or Gmail be interested. They already have their storage service. They don't need you to provide storage services.
Right. But if you see from this perspective, right, they know that people exchange a lot of files over email, right? That is in a competition to that services, right? So every file which is exchanged over email is competing with the file stored on Box, right? Because then I won't store the files on Box, right?
What me about what you presented, Shalin, is that really kind of this could be a feature of Box, and it puts you out of business.
Right. No, so that's what I'm saying. That right now we see that a couple of things that we are doing. So as I always see that something starts with a feature and then you build a core product around that feature, right? That's how we see it, and that's how if you see it right now.
So far, I have not. There are multiple different competitive forces that are coming in here. The whole workflow market. There is a significant workflow market already out there. Competitive positioning vis-a-vis the workflow market. You do a really serious competitive analysis and competitive positioning work here. It will not work based on that positioning work.
Okay.
So that recommendation to you is really go deeply into understand the competitive landscape at every layer. Go understand the enterprise competitive positioning. Go understand the SMB one, the SOHO one, or competitive positioning. And then within those, you need to look at multiple different directions: the workflow, the file sharing, the file storage, all of them, and see what are the dynamics and then within that, what's missing and what can create a high value opportunity for. Is there a high value opportunity? It's not that there is a high value opportunity in there.
Right. Got it. I think I've already answered the third question that, asking users to pay for the product is the right validation. Whether they would be interested to pay for the application or not.
That is part of the validation. But it's not the entire validation. I think that there is a serious competitive positioning work. It may be validation for a short term, but is this a sustainable company? This question that VCs ask you: is this a feature or a product? So the company a feature. The option is sooner or later, one of the incumbents are going to put that feature together. If your feature is getting traction, an incumbent with a much larger position in the market is going to build that feature in, and you're going to be basically irrelevant. Very careful about
I do get this question, right? But as I told you that I always see it like I see Dropbox example. When Dropbox started, right, people used to see it as a feature, simple feature, just brings the file across the devices. But that's how you start off with some feature and then you build a whole proposition or a product around that feature.
That's all theory. That's all. You have to. Dropbox started at a point when the cloud market was extremely immature. You are starting at a point where the cloud market is a mature market. When you're operating in an immature market, there are lots of things that can. Dropbox didn't really start as a feature. It started as a functionality that was not in the market really. And competitors, but they were startup competitors. They were not major competitors. Whereas in your case, you're now competing with a mature cloud market which has mature incumbents. That's the difference. Right. But I'm not saying that one way or the other that your business is not viable or any of that. I'm just asking you to do the due diligence that is required and the positioning work that is required to make that decision.
Right. Got it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll start with the presentation. Basically, basically I'm a computer engineer from Mumbai University, and my co-founder Zaid Siddiqui is a BCom graduate from Jai Hind College, and a lot of competitions together, national level, college level, etc. And I'm handling the business development and technology. Zaid will be handling the marketing and analytics. So before getting into the presentation, I'll just describe the problem in short that we saw. So in a world where 98% of the business plans get rejected by angels and VCs, in a world with no formal funding mechanism for creative projects, can these projects survive even the next 3 years unless spread into crowds? By creative projects, I don't just mean creative startups. It could also be projects like, independent filmmakers, musicians, artists, story writers, book writers, etc. All of them. So this is scaling innovation, not just in India, but in a lot of Asia-Pacific markets. Only 10% of the funds raised by Indian startups were from angels or VCs. So we want to formalize the remaining 95%.
Oh, that's only accurate statistics. Less 1%.
Sorry?
1%.
Oh yeah, it's actually 1%. Yeah, I saw in one of your blogs. Right. So we also cannot lend you large amounts. Even if your uncle gives you a 5 lakh rupee check tomorrow, he'll expect the money back at least 1 or 2 years later in return. Solution to this problem is crowdfunding. Now, crowdfunding. We are into reward-based crowdfunding. There are a lot of types of crowdfunding, but we are into reward-based crowdfunding because we are in Indian market, and the Indian market is ready for reward-based crowdfunding. Reward-based crowdfunding is all about asking a large number.
India, right?
Sorry?
It's not legal in India.
Okay, that's the misconception. Equity-based crowdfunding is not legal. Reward-based crowdfunding is already happening in India. There is one big competition. There is one established company as of now. I'll get into that in the later slide.
Crowdfunding, is it that you pre-sale the product, or what's the reward?
So it's not just about pre-selling. It could also be, rewards such as giving. For example, let's take an example of an independent filmmaker. If you contribute, let's say, a small amount like rupees 500 to an independent filmmaker project, you get a small thank you note or a t-shirt in return. But if you contribute a larger amount like 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 rupees, you are invited to the pre of the film. You've given a one-on-one workshop with the filmmaker who's making the film on how to make independent films. Like we don't have any clients as of now, but I was approached by one of the clients who was making an innovative, if you know what dosa is, he was making an innovative dosa making machine, an automatic dosa making machine. So those guys can actually offer their products or services as rewards. So it's a good way for them to launch in the market through crowdfunding. So it is beyond just raising money for your project. It's about validating an idea from the crowd. It's about launching your products.
You're following the regular crowdfunding model that's prevalent in the US.
I'll come into the USPs.
That's also equity.
Yeah, I'll come into the USPs. Come into the USPs that we have that other crowdfunding platforms do not possess. So Kickstarter alone had successfully funded 50,000 plus projects in the last 4 years. Compared to India had only 379 new tech startups in the last year. As far as is concerned, crowdfunding is a hidden need of the world. The markets are always rising. It was a $2.7 billion market in 2012, which is the Deloitte has predicted to rise to $5.1 billion in 2013. Crowdfunding is the most active. 52% of all funds raised globally through reward-based crowdfunding, and the number of platforms in reward-based crowdfunding have been rising at the rate of 524% year-on-year. Now, why is India and APAC regions ready to crowdfund? India has 200 million internet users with 30 million people transacting online, which can be a potential market. The amount of disposable incomes with the people have risen by 20% from 2012 to 2012. There are a lot of entrepreneurs in India growing. By entrepreneurs, as I said, I just don't mean startups. I also mean creative projects. A lot of things have been happening in the entrepreneurial space. But the increase in the number of avenues for small funding. For a funding amount like 30 lakhs, you have angel investors. For a funding amount like 30,000, 50,000, you have friends and family. You have no one for funding amounts like 5 lakhs, 7 lakhs, 10 lakhs. That is crowdfunding comes in.
Here's the challenge of this. The Indian situation, the challenge is that it's a low trust society.
To build that trust, one of you... Yeah, yeah.
This will be useful if you listen to me a little bit as well, right? The Indian internet population is, it's a very low trust society. If you look at the e-commerce market, for example, e-commerce requires that people put in money into the internet.
Yeah.
The Indian market has voted no. Money into the internet. It's not. So people trying to build e-commerce businesses in India also having to build the logistics part of that business and handle cash on delivery. They have infrastructure they need. They will only give you cash after you deliver the product into their homes.
Right. So that need. Yeah. So, a solution to that as well. So to cater to that need, what we are doing is we are also having a cash and check pickup option for those who contribute amounts of more than 1,000 or 2,000. For everybody who contributes more than 1,000, COD cash on delivery is available. For everybody who contributes more than 2,000, check on delivery is also available. So catering to that market as well. But
you're expecting that this low trust Indian population are going to give cash check, if it's cash on delivery or check on delivery, to people they have never met to do something with.
So solutions to this problem. Number one, as you said, trust factor. To build a trust factor, an innovative chat feature between the inventor and the investors. That is the people who create the campaign on a crowdfunding platform and the people who contribute to those campaigns. So the chat feature will enable them to communicate to each other regarding the updates of the project, etc. The second solution to this problem is
people who are strangers that they do not know.
So to solve that problem, we are, as all the crowdfunding platforms across the world do, we will be including a clause in the memorandum of understanding that we will be signing with the campaigners before their campaign goes live on our platform. The point will state that the campaigners are legally bound to give all the that they have promised to the contributors. So, clause here, the people can actually sue the contributors if we run them.
Say I've been on the Indian startup ecosystem for many years now, and given how slowly the angel investment ecosystem has evolved, it's a minuscule, tiny, Indian startup market. It's a big stretch for me to assume that millions of people are going to do what you want them to do, is to crowdfund projects. The US moves very fast on these kinds of things. There's a high trust.
That's true.
The US and UK moves fast. Plus, they have a good financial kind of thing. The one that I am a little bit skeptical about, just having observed the dynamics of the Indian adoption, financing, e-commerce adoption, and all of these things. It's just my.
But if you look at the numbers, So if you look at the numbers, Wishberry.in is one established crowdfunding platform in India, and there's more than 2 crores in funding amounts from the contributors till now, since launch in early 2012. Action is happening in the crowdfunding. There are a lot of new, naive, and experienced people coming into crowdfunding in India itself. So the traction is happening. That is why we particularly believe that this is the tipping point of crowdfunding. 3 months, 6 months later, crowdfunding will become mainstream in India. That is why we want to launch in the next year.
I think it's going to be an incredibly slow growth market. 2 crores is nothing. You make a small percentage of 2 crores as your revenue. That is your revenue line. Can you imagine a business on a market that the entire market size is 2 crores and you make 2.5% of that, or 5% at most?
That's true, but what we believe that crowdfunding right now in India is set to boom because a lot of transactions have been happening in India, particularly internet users in India have been rising at the rate of 30% compounded annual growth rate. And
internet users rising and crowdfunding rising. Do you know when internet users started rising in America? In 1994, 95. And
that's completely true.
Later, or at least 17, 18 years later. you
not
can
mean
do
that
this.
crowdfunding will
Be
be
prepared for a very, very slow growth business.
slow in the initial stages, but the traction that is happening right now, a lot of other startups such as Catapult.com and IgniteIntent.com have been getting projects, every day, almost every day they are getting at least one or two new projects on their platforms and getting funded. Like the success rate is about 30 to 40% of the campaigns launched are successfully funded. That's a success rate. That is why we particularly believe that crowdfunding will work in India. It needs a little bit of time.
It will not work. It will not work. All I know is your business is extremely slow.
It'll be
growth
slow
for a long time.
So, okay, I would love more sessions on
other crowdfunding companies that are in the market right now. I'm not saying it's not going to work. All I'm telling you is that the Indian market, the Indian internet market is developing very, very slowly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's then proceed with the competition. I'll ask you a few questions later on. Unique proposition.
We funding firms in India. Why don't we go to questions? It will be better for your time.
But just a couple of unique value propositions, and then we'll go to the questions. One of them is that we are the cheapest crowdfunding platform in India. We are charging only an 8% commission, and the accepting any campaign, we'll be doing a booty analysis, as you can see at the bottom. We'll be making all these things before launching any campaign. So then let's go to the questions. Few unique things that we had. So the question is that right now we are college graduates, and I'll be working at Deloitte in India, and we want to launch this. My partner will be free time, so we want to launch this with a full day job, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I read one of your blogs, bootstrapping with a paycheck, which was very interesting. I could help me out in this place, work on FundZP full time because of lack of funds, and also delay this project FundZP because of my job, because crowdfunding, as I said, is booming right now. So 6 months it'll be too mainstream. So any suggestions on that part?
Either you keep it up and do this on the side with a paycheck, or you get friends and family to invest in you, and then you can quit your job and go do it full time. Don't expect financing. This is not going to be. This is not financeable.
Yeah. Financing, I'm not even expecting in the first 2 years at least. Yeah. First question is, what should be the target timelines? I'm not asking you for specific dates, but asking you what should be the amount of time I should be taking to develop MVP. Right now, I have just started developing the website for FundZP. How long should it take to build out the MVP and the soft launch, and then doing the business development work, people to places and approaching potential campaigners, clients, and funders, and final hard launch? What should be the timeline approximately?
That depends on what kind of resources you're putting into it, how many people are
So resources, as of now, we are only 2 people, and we don't have money to hire any other employee. We'll be straight on that.
I know your skill set, right? I don't know you. Idea whether
so
you're really into software developer who can turn an MVP overnight, or you're not as experienced and it's gonna take you 6 months to build an MVP. I have no idea who you are and what your.
Okay, so it's too specific, I agree. But in general, what do you think that how much time should I be giving this idea, to validate this idea from the people, and then what should be the appropriate time I should try this idea?
Your competitors have validated the market. You want to know.
Yeah.
You want to do this business. You already know that this is an unfundable business, but there are customers for it, and there's going to be some revenue coming from it. So there's business here. Your competitors validated the business, and you're right that there is a business here. It is going to be a very slow growth business. And get into business and starting the business, knowing that it's going to not be fundable by professional investors for a long time. That's just
by the way, Wishberry has been funded, has been given a small angel investment amount of 30 lakhs, and they are also pitching for amounts like 2 crores to some angel investor firms. Anyways, the question is a mentor necessary, and how do I approach these mentors? At which stage of my company should I approach mentors?
it's a personal choice. As far as 1M is concerned, we prefer you working with the program as early as possible so that you don't go on and do things that are in the wrong order. For example, one of the things we keep doing is chasing investors without anything to investors with all the time, and we just working with you and as early as possible so that you haven't run out of resources by the time you come to us. Sometimes people come to us when they've kind of spent 2 years running around, have nothing left to do anything with, at which point we can't either.
Strategy, you would say that how to approach mentors, and what say to the mentor? You can't directly propose that, can you be my mentor? I'm
not interested in that topic because I'm in a program which has a full mentoring program in it. If you want our program, use our how to approach other mentors. I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about it.
Yeah, makes sense completely. I agree with you.
Other mentors, based on what we see and when we think that they would be interested in you. Mentors.
Okay.
Just something you need to understand about mentors is there's a small group of mentors who have the philanthropic point of view. For you because they are either interested in investing in companies they're looking for deals to invest in. They're building relationships with entrepreneurs whom invest in later on. Or that you would to attract. See that you're not ready for regular time with you. Where they are, you're ready for investment, in which case they will spend time with you.
Okay. Okay, thanks a lot, Sramana. Thanks for your help. Thanks a lot.
Welcome. May. No. Fine. So then we can go to questions. It's 8:53 a.m. We have time for Q&A. If you either use the public chat, so make sure you set your chat to send to all participants. And these are all in instructions. So you can use the call-in instructions. Tell us in public chat that you're calling in so that we can ask for you. And maybe you put your computer on mute. So echo into the call. The call-in number is 650-479-320. Access code 666-394-485. Please keep the phone muted until for you. So while we wait for you to figure that out, I'm going to spend a few minutes telling you how we work with entrepreneurs. So if we are doing, this is very cut and dry feedback, right? It's not what you want to hear. Sometimes entrepreneurs don't like view that kind of their assumptions. Entrepreneurs like to hear people reinforce their assumptions. In experience, the people who can add the maximum value to your business are people who can actually give you constructive critique of their businesses. There are a couple of things I said today which were counter to the entrepreneurs are thinking of doing, right? For example, Farooq's company, he's a company in Singapore but raising money from the US. US investors. US investors like to invest in Delaware companies. This is the preference. Why take an Indian company, go register in Singapore and try to raise money in the US? It makes a lot of sense to me, and yet he's getting that advice from a very credible lawyer. Well, I think that Farooq needs to go and investigate whether it's the right strategy or not. So my, approach to it is I should point out things that need work. Since I told you that you need to really work on competitive positioning to see if you have a viable business or not. That's probably what you want to hear. You want to hear that, oh, your business is great. It's going to be, rockets like Dropbox and blah, blah, blah. But the truth is, based on what I observe, that is going to be the case. So you better be aware of your challenges and comparative strategy with which you can actually compete in the market. As there is a business here, clearly, 2 crores of transactions that have happened in crowdfunding, and if you take 10%, I'm taking a very, optimistic number, 10% of the 2 crores, then you have 20 lakhs of revenue across the, 5 crowdfunding businesses are doing right now. But nonetheless, 20 lakhs is a very small number. It is this market that is going to take 10% of the total number of transactions, and that's what all these businesses are going to have to build their operating model on. So let's say the business grows 10 next year, goes to 20 crores next year. It's basically 2 crores is going to be the operating revenue of that market. So the market is going to go at a pace that is going to be relatively slow, and slow markets do not attract a lot of investors. This is the reality of the game. At that market turns, and this is what's happening in India right now. There is a lot of markets that have been developing slowly. SaaS market, India-facing SaaS market, it's been developing slowly. There's a case study that's running on our blog right now that it has taken 4 years before the seed round of financing has happened. So it's been bootstrapped for 4 years before the first round of seed funding has come into that company. Slow markets tend to have that dynamic. So you have to create your strategy with that you're going to have to bootstrap for a while, and you need to recognize that and be prepared for that. So as long as your expectations are realistic, as you are prepared to put in the kind of really difficult, investment that is going to take for several years, you're going to have to operate several years of your life in a cash crunch mode. And it's okay with you that there is a business, and at some point that market is going to pick up speed, and you will be able to get investors potentially, and so on and so forth. This is the reality of many markets, especially if you're trying to create a new market, or create with a market with another pool of competitors who are all trying to create a new market in that domain. That is the dynamic of those very early markets. And just reality. This is just how business happens. The startup business happens. When Amazon raised money very early, it was able to raise money very early, but it took a while for Amazon to give credit cards and buying on the internet. Nowadays we take all that for granted, but any of the other markets, the US market, UK market, are very deep e-commerce markets. China is actually a very deep e-commerce market. People buy online, but there are many other markets that are slow growth e-commerce markets. And it's not starting to pick up, but it's friction, this cash on delivery and all this stuff has made it a much slower growth market. Let's talk a little bit about 1M and how we work with you. Everything is 1mby1m.com. In terms of the free resource, you have the blog. There are tons of case studies. The recommendation is use case studies to learn, because there are over 600 of these case studies, and they're discussed in excruciating detail. And it's very good to learn from other people's mistakes so that you don't have to make mistakes, and it takes 6 months, 18 months, 3 years of your life. 1 or 2 can cost you 3 years of your life in the startup world, and that's expensive. This book series, we have at this point 7 of these books out, and the case study based analysis. The first 5, actually the first 4 are available on Amazon globally, and the rest of them are available on Kindle, again globally. Please look at those, specifically trying to learn issues positioning is a very, very poorly understood area of business, by the way. In my consulting years, after doing 3 startups, I took a break and did a lot of consulting for about 10 years, and the maximum money I made in consulting was in positioning. Large companies' positioning is poorly understood. This is what our website looks like. You've probably come in through there, so you're familiar with it. Also videos that explain the program in more detail. These roundtables happen every week, except in December we have one more, and then we'll take a little bit of a break. We have on January 9th with our 200th roundtable. So this is a very available set where you can come and discuss. This is essentially a working session, and thousands of people are using these for many years now, so make use of them. You can register for roundtables on the free roundtables page. In the program, we have extensive methodology guidance through them, as well as similar strategy roundtables, but these are private. They're members only. We don't open that up to the public. We also do business development, customer introductions, channel partner introductions, a lot of media relations. We've learned that small companies have a hard time getting attention from the media. We do work in media relations. And then if you get to the stage where you're fundable, we'll help you with financing. The club on our website will introduce you to some of the people who have lost $1 million in annual revenue or are close. Actually, many of them have crossed. We're going to publish this year's club soon. 1M value equation is an ROI analysis of what we do and how we deliver value. We deliver $375,000 worth of value plus 5 to 10% equity for our annual membership fee. So it's a very high value program. We provide you lots of orientation material on how to use 1M effectively. Assessment is a free tool available on the website. You can take your business through these questions and calibrate your business. These questions that you're going to have to answer. The questions that you're going to have to answer if you're trying to bring a self-financed product into it, and you're going to have to answer them if you're trying to sell your business to investors. So, this assessment is have to on top of, get your arms around. Topics that you're going to have to get your arms around. If I remember, we give you curriculum modules to learn if something's missing from knowledge gaps in your learning. First-time entrepreneur is a very steep learning curve. So it's just mitigating the gaps. Lots of other information on the premium program on the website where you can learn about how to evaluate the premium program, video messages, video FAQs. Just a comment about the curriculum. The curriculum on a case study based learning model. So one of case studies we have developed since 2006, and today we have over 600 of these, is invited successful entrepreneurs to come and their journeys. This is the Entrepreneur Journey series that has driven books as well as our curriculum, and we have to capture an incredible wealth of information about the entrepreneurs have navigated the commonly faced challenges and problems that entrepreneurs typically have to deal with. And we then synthesize all that into video lectures, and we provide all the case studies supporting what we do in each of those cases. This curriculum is with 200 roundtables and probably 150 plus roundtables. We have a tremendous amount of information on what kinds of challenges early-stage entrepreneurs are encountering encountering. And has been synthesized into the issues and topics that we cover. So if you see how we have designed the curriculum, it's now broken into two, the core curriculum and the elective curriculum. We teach 7 topics: bootstrapping, marketing, customer validation, financing, customer acquisition, and team building. We train specific case studies and learnings: Web 3.0 and e-commerce, cloud computing and business solutions, outsourcing and consulting, mobile social apps, healthcare IT, online education / educational technology, gaming. These are elective topics. And you have unlimited access to everything here. Maurice, the video, please. Our methodology is lean, capital efficient, bootstrap startups, because this is kind of where the market is right now. If you out the gate, if you start asking for a lot of financing, you don't get it, because people increasingly the markets are moving up in risk tolerance. So there is find themselves in a pre-seed stage where they're financing with friends and family or financing bootstrap businesses until they get to enough validation such that their seed round. That is basically where you will find the market right now. We're very utopian of this market in the early days of the internet, during what is known as the dot bubble, where concepts got financed, but it also created an absolute disaster. So this is where we are right now, and if you are in the market today, you will need to navigate based on those parameters. I do a lot of work in the media. We have a lot of clout in the media, and we try to put our cloud media to work on behalf of our portfolio companies. So in the press page, you will see coverage of 1M Premium members, and you'll see we've generated extensive coverage for companies. You have access to our social media channel, which is quite large. And this includes Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, everything. We will let you messages for our social media channel, and that is part of the 1M community service. We give you access to our blog where we cover you, and that's part of the PR that we make available to you. The Innovation Radar and Deal Radar series are that investors monitor quite closely, and we will have a lot of customers, channel partners who monitor those particular coverage. We program. So I see that somebody in the office is asking, how can we seasoned entrepreneurs help your full cause? Well, we have an affiliate program. If you're interested in becoming an affiliate partner of the 1M program, you can do that, and that would be one way we could partner. Up free roundtables are basically December 19th, the last roundtable of the year. Every single Thursday, January, we have a roundtable, including the first one is the 200 roundtable. People in India, if you're still looking for an idea to work on, check out the Vision India 2020 book. It has $45 billion business ideas. It's an ideation kind of book. We also call 1 million by 1 million incubator in a box, with which we are working right now with a lot of different partners who are this to incubators or expand their incubation services. So companies, a lot of corporations, Oracle, SAP, Microsoft, and so forth. We are working on helping them pull through basically incubation functions. Use it, angel investors, VCs, governments, schools, universities, anybody can start or expand your incubation services, including incubators themselves. By the way, if you're an incubator in a geography, look at deep bridge, Silicon Valley, we are a perfect incubator for you to partner with, and we are perfectly happy to work with other incubators and extend your services. We operate then as a supplemental service, and that's fine. We are happy to do that. consider startup ecosystem, any else who's working on helping entrepreneurs as a competition, we view every single entity out there that is trying to help entrepreneurs as partners, working the same goal of entrepreneurship development. So these are a bunch of our this fall we've released 3 books. These are all Kindle books. Seed India, How to Navigate the Seed Capital Gap in India. This is the most recent one. We also have Feminine Feminism on the women entrepreneurship topic. And then other 99% entrepreneurs, fortune in the middle of the pyramid. So that's it. If you would like to call, the telephone instructions are on the screen. Let me look at what's happening in the public chat. Rajan, once I join the premium program, would I be assigned to some mentor to help me build my product? And also, since at this point of time, since I'm confused how to go beyond the idea, would 1 be able to help me from square one? So to your question about assign a mentor to help you build your product, we don't do any work in technology. So is not a technical mentoring service. So the answer to that question, we do develop business strategy, which is in of go-to-market strategy, financing strategy, sales strategy, that kind of stuff. So, and validation is something we will help you do, because validation also has specific methodology. So if you do not have to have an idea to use 1M. You learn the mechanics, and we immerse you in as well as in ideas, so that you can then come up with an idea if necessary. Yes, we are perfectly suited for help you flesh the idea, validate that idea, take it to the next step. That is exactly what we do really, really well. Please don't send me private messages, folks. We are operating in a public chat mode. I will read out your private messages, but please do send private messages. We want everybody in the room to be able to work with you right now. As rewards-based crowdfunding is concerned, a lot of investors we spoke to said that we need to focus more on funders, but our primary clients are campaigners, since they inherently attract contributors. Who do you think are more important, contributors or campaigners? In any exchange, and this, what you are working on is an exchange, right? You need both sides. You can funders without projects, and you can track projects without funders. So there is, basically work with both sides of the table, and you have to build both sides of the table. Is asking, great session. Have you done anything in the social enterprise sector with impact investing? Belief is that every enterprise is a social enterprise. Enterprise jobs, solve problems, build value. So every is a social enterprise. And every entrepreneur is creating impact as a result. With non-profits, by the way, Indra, if that's your question. Curriculum material or real expertise in how to raise money from patients and so forth. So we do non-profits. We any questions, comments? In which case we'll wrap up then. Well, we will see you for the last time this year, next Thursday, and then we'll go off for a little break, come back and meet here 200th Roundtable, which we open the year with. Holidays, everybody, and good luck with all your projects.